Hey everybody, it's Tony D and Little Joan on the Piney podcast, and today we have pretty much nothing but good news. Today's caseload, new cases, only 2,400. I believe that's 3 days in a row below 3,000, so that's good. Things are finally slowing down, despite the fact testing seems to be up. That's a really good trend. That is a good indication this thing is finally slowing down. And on the Phil front, Governor Phil has reopened the parks, so that's a good thing. It was stupid to close them, I think. I kind of almost understand why you'd close down, say, the basketball hoops, because people are going to be in close contact in that game, and they're going to be breathing hard, and so I'd be okay with that, really, because you're in close proximity to other people, and you're going to be breathing hard, and you're going to be breathing each other's breath, basically. So I could see that, but the parks in general, out in the sun in the day, no. So it's good that they're open. So get out there and enjoy the parks. I believe there's still some restrictions, probably got a social distance, and you should probably have the mask with you at least, and be ready to slip it on if the man gives you trouble. What else? Let's see. They're opening up a testing center in Camden because, that's where the poor people live, and it's been weeks. So finally, Camden, you're going to get tested. That to me would have been one of the early places, since it's a relatively, densely populated area still, but better late than never, I suppose. So things are starting to crank back up, I hope. And Phil definitely has to get things open ahead of Memorial Day, because there's no way to stop Memorial Day. People literally would rather die than not be on the beach on Memorial Day weekend in New Jersey, and in some places outside of New Jersey. And the sooner you open the beaches, this I assume covers beaches as well. Hopefully we'll get a warm day, warm weekend ahead of Memorial Day, just so some people will go on the off weekend, and maybe, because one of the things that's going to happen is I avoid Memorial Day weekend down the shore under normal circumstances. With this windup, a lot of people are going to go, so the hope is maybe you get a warm weekend the weekend before, and then some of the people go then and say, well, we won't go next weekend, it'll be too crowded, because it is still going to be pretty crowded. I personally, you wouldn't catch me dead going down to the shore on Memorial Day, but people, I think, probably, we want a packed Memorial Day so the businesses thrive, but we don't want an overly packed one. Wawa and McDonald's and all the places down in Wildwood and Ocean City and the various other towns, they're going to have to be very wary, because, you can't just, at least right now, pop into the Wawa and get yourself a drink. It's kind of not worth it, number one. Number two, if the parking lot's jammed, as it normally is on a weekend like that, you half the time you end up hopping out of the car while your friend circles the block just to run in to get a drink. You're going to need your mask. If you forget your mask in the car, you have to run back. You're throwing your mask on the floor of the car where it's getting all dirty. It's almost not worth it. Hopefully, maybe Wawa and some of these other places. McDonald's has the drive-thru, so you have that option at least. You won't even have to get out of your car, but it's going to be a giant line for that as well. So just be aware that if you are determined to do Memorial Day weekend down the shore, it's going to be a little bit of a problem. And the renters got to get down there. They got to get down there and clean the place, air it out, get it ready for their renters, unless that's been canceled. I'm not exactly sure what the rule is on that. or for the people who just want to be down there. People depend on that rent, by the way. My folks had a shore place, and at one point, and they would take renters, and they would use that rent money to pay the mortgage on the place. So they would essentially have it. They wouldn't go down there every weekend, but they would go down there in the off weekends or whatever that they didn't have renters, and the renters were paying for their shore house. And that's the way I assume other people do it. I mean, it's a smart way to do it. So we can't cancel all the renters either. And, renters, oh man, you're going to have to clean the place. I mean, you are going to have to disinfect every nook and cranny after your renters leave and prior before they get in there. So you're just going to have to assume they've contaminated every square inch and wiped the place down. Your cleaning bill is going to go up no matter how you look at it, whether you do it or you have a service come in. That's going to be an issue. But looks like we're headed towards an open Jersey Shore. I would imagine that by Memorial Day weekend, we're going to have to have it open. It's just going to have to be open, because it's not, you're going to have a riot on your hands if Phil says, oh, no, stay home. It could rain. A lot of times it rains Memorial Day weekend anyway, and I don't know if that's good or bad in this situation. I mean, on the one hand, if it's nice and sunny and hot, in the 80s, the virus will die on surfaces, and that could certainly kill a lot of the spread and keep things down. But flip side of that, if it rains, and more people will go if it's sunny. But the flip side of that is if it rains and everybody's cooped up in their rental, or they go to the boardwalk just to crowd into a store, it's going to be too cool to kill the virus, no sun, and you're going to have all these people next to each other, mask or not. I mean, again, you're on vacation, so don't forget your mask is definitely going to be the rule for now. I think by next year, this will all be mostly gone. I think the mask thing might stick around for flu season, and perhaps it should, because, I mean, people in Asia wear masks during flu season, and it's no big deal. And quite frankly, I've seen a few people in the States do it. And you could say, yeah, you look kind of silly or whatever, but it does cut down on flu season in parts of the world where that's bad. And, if I'm working in an environment where I'm meeting a lot of people and it's flu season, it doesn't sound like a bad deal, especially if you're like a cashier or, somebody just interacting with people in any kind of retail space. It's often crowded, and you're just seeing person after person. And so, that might be a permanent addition. So in case cuts down on the sickness, and if one of your employees gets sick, he's not going to spread it. And keep in mind, the kind of people who are going to work when they're sick are the kind of people who are cashiers, and do these kind of grunt work jobs because they don't have a lot of money and they need the money. I mean, a lot of people are already effed because of what happened. They don't have the money. I don't know what people are going to do who have apartments and they didn't have the money to pay the rent, and they just rolled over the rent for a few months, and now they're facing down 2 months of rent with no work, or having to dump all their unemployment in the rent just to keep their place. I mean, really what we needed was a moratorium on rent and mortgages. Same thing with mortgages especially, because I think it's in the long-term interest of banks and the financial sector in general just to give people a moratorium, meaning that they just take the 2 months of the mortgage that they didn't pay and tack it on to the end. Just give them 2 months of living in the house they're going to buy anyway for free. What is it going? What's the big deal? You're gonna turn around and go, give us 3 months of mortgages now. People are gonna be hurting hurting. And they could really use that money. Also, and I've said this before, the states, Phil, looking at you, how about no property taxes for 2 months? That would be nice. That would be nice. Nobody's using the schools anyway. Yeah, you got to pay the teachers. They're still sort of teaching, and it's a union, and good luck not paying them. But, it's not, or how about half? How about half? I mean, we're not getting full service here. We're all stuck at home, not really using all the services. So you're saving money, and we're saving money. Split the difference, half. I would say half property taxes for the month, or a break, or something. Or at the very least, I'm sure the bill's going to come due for this flu. Bill's going to come due for the flu. And, then every state is going to be like, oh, we don't have any money. We didn't make our budget because of the thing. It wasn't our fault. Trump talks about states that were already in financial trouble to begin with. That is very true. And so these states like Illinois, and I know Pennsylvania has some problems, New York, and New Jersey too. They're going to suddenly turn around and go, "Well, we were just doing great until the virus." Yeah, except they weren't. They were spending too much money. California, especially. So, but anyhow, don't want to get into politics in this video. Sorry, slipped into it. That's it for the Piney podcast, Pineys. Remember, plant your gardens now. Now's the time. I know things are getting better, but you might need that food. You might need those fresh vegetables come June, July. So start planning. Start planning. I think it's a prudent thing to do. Worst case scenario, you got some fresh tomatoes for the summer. All right, Joan and I will see you next time.